Well, good morning and happy Friday to you. Welcome to day 25 of the Bible Memory Challenge. Can you believe it? We've gotten through another week, and you guys are doing great. Want to make you aware of something that I think you'll find as good news. Next week, once we get through next week, we will have completed all of chapter 1. And that's incredible, amazing progress. By the way, chapter 1 and chapter 2 are the longest chapters. Once we get to chapter 3 and chapter 4, those are much shorter. So you'll find that you breeze through them compared to how long these first two chapters are. But having said that, next week, after we finish next week, what I want us to do is take off an entire week. I think for most of you that'll probably be seen as good news. That'll be a week to kind of catch up, catch your breath, review, fine-tune things, and I think you'll find that a good thing. Now, for those of you who I know, or maybe you're on track and you don't want to stop, you may not find that as good news. So I apologize. If you want to keep going, of course you certainly can. I'm not going to stop you. You can do it on your own. But for most of us, we're going to take off that week after next week, so after we finish chapter 1. And give ourselves a chance to catch our breath and get caught up. So anyway, I wanted to make you aware of that. Today we're looking at verse 25. So as always, go back and do your review for yesterday's verse, which was probably very simple for you, and then we'll jump right into today's verse 25. So 125. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith. 125. Convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith. So say it slowly 10 times. This is a little bit more challenging verse than yesterday, but just think about what Paul is saying. He says convinced of this. Well, what is this? Well, it's yesterday's verse. Yesterday was to remain in the flesh. He thought that was more necessary. So that's what he's convinced of. Convinced of this. I know that I will remain. That word remain, we learned that word yesterday. That's just continuing from yesterday, where he talked about remaining in the flesh. So convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all. If you are reading the ESV, you know that Paul was a Southerner. We've talked about that before. I think if you're the NIV, it's all of you. But for the ESV, it's I will continue with you all for your progress and joy in the faith. That word joy or rejoice comes up over and over in this letter to the Philippians. So once you've said it slowly 10 times, cover it up and see if you can get it from memory. And once you get through this verse, wow, that's the 5th week you've got completed, and we just have one more week to go, and we will be done with chapter 1. So that should be exciting for you. I do have a tip for you today. 2 tips. I thought about these this morning driving into the office. Tip number 1, make drive time review time. Make drive time review time. So this morning as I was driving in, I just threw on my Dwell app and started listening to Philippians 1. And that was my review. So when I got here to the office, I didn't have to go back and do any review time. I just kind of listened to it as I was driving in. So most of you have to drive well, maybe now during this coronavirus, you're not driving as much. But most of us do some driving throughout the day. And so, take that time and make it more productive as opposed to listening to, whatever you normally listen to, I guess. The second tip is this. This is something else I discovered this morning. I was listening to the Dwell app, and I was trying to hit reverse so it would go back to the beginning of the chapter, and it wasn't doing that. And I looked down and I realized I haven't noticed this before. Maybe you have, but when you hit the little reverse, the backward button, it actually says verse. So when you hit backwards, it goes back just one verse. Well, that's actually a great thing, because now if I'm listening on the Dwell app and I want to learn Philippians 1:25, well, as soon as it comes to the very end, I just hit the button and it goes back to 1:25. So it's not an automatic loop like we've talked about before, but it's almost better because now that makes me be intentional. So I'm listening to the verse, so as soon as it gets done, I hit back and it goes back and plays verse 25 again. on an automatic loop. Sometimes I'm not even listening because it is automatic, and I may be distracted or thinking about other things. But when I've got to hear the verse and then actually hit the backward button, that makes me stay engaged and stay focused. So anyway, I thought that was a great thing for me personally. I'm going to take advantage of that little discovery. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. You're doing great. Another week done. You have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you on Monday. God bless you.